Welcome to Chalk Talk. My name's Joe White, and today I've got a very special guest, Elliott Keightley. Welcome, Elliott. How are you, mate?
Hi, Joe. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, yourself.
Yeah, all good. Keeping well, mate. So, straight off the bat, let's get straight into it. What are your earliest memories from football, Al?
Earliest memories would probably be just my dad taking me down local team, just playing, not really know what's going on, just kicking a ball around the field. Proper, proper earliest memories would be football tournaments, playing as a kid, sort of seven-a-side tournaments, just going to them pretty much every weekend. Again, that's my local team. So yeah, that probably be my earliest memories of actually playing.
Okay, great. So, did you obviously? I know that you joined Cheltenham Youth Academy, didn't you? Quite early. So, were you picked up? What sort of age were you picked up? And were you one of those players at a young age that was sort of stood out from the rest? How did your journey develop from going from just playing sort of local football with your mates to then joining Cheltenham Academy?
So initially, I think it was when I was in primary school. I was actually playing training with Cheltenham and Swindon Town. So I was training with both of them. Then that stopped. I think it's got a bit too much for parents to keep taking me to both after work, after school.
Sure, yeah.
Just carried on playing for the local team. And then I don't know if you've heard of sort of Gloucester primary schools, or it's basically a county where the best players from the county get put in a team. Then all the counties play each other throughout the year. So I got selected for that. And then in that were other players who were playing in the Cheltenham Academy.
Okay.
So I was playing for the Gloucester primary schools and my local team and Cheltenham, I think, all at the same time.
Nice.
But then when you start 11 aside, that sort of has to stop. And then, so yeah, then after that, I carried on playing for my local team. And then a year later, I got picked up by Cheltenham from one of my best mates' dad, who was the coach at the time, John Hamilton. So yeah, I played there from under 12s really up until under 18s, where I got scholar. So
Yeah, great. So you had a good extensive period at an academy then, and had sort of obviously a good football upbringing. What position were you when you first joined Cheltenham Academy?
So when I first joined, so for Gloucester primary schools, I was playing centre back. For my local team, I was playing left mid, and then for
Left mid.
yeah, and then for Cheltenham, I was playing full back. So it was a mixture of all of them really. And I suppose if you're playing centre back for one team, left mid for another, sort of cross them over into a full back really. So yeah, for Cheltenham, I was playing full back.
No, that's really interesting because probably a lot of young lads maybe just playing one or two different positions, but you've had quite a varied upbringing in terms of where you've played on the pitch. Then I think that's got to be a good thing. Obviously, we hear stories about the Dutch model and players playing in lots of different positions in their upbringing, and it seems that you sort of naturally did that anyway.
Yeah, I think it's benefited me long term. I think there's been times where I've questioned, does it really benefit me? Because I think at times if you can play in multiple positions, you'd probably think there's more chance of you playing in the team because you can play multiple positions.
Sure.
But then other times I've sort of thought, for example, when I was at Cheltenham Academy, would things been different if I was a specialist to one position? I think all my career, especially now and at Cheltenham as well, it was sort of one game I'll be right back, one game centre back, one game left back. So yeah, I think it has benefited me because I've got a better understanding of the game as a whole. Then there's times as well, I think, has it hindered me in the sense of if I was one specialist position, would things have gone a different way? But no, I think definitely long term, yes, it's definitely benefited me.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. I mean, there's probably not necessarily a right or wrong answer to that. I know some players like to just stick to a certain position, and other players are flexible. And I think, in my experience, from a coaching and management standpoint, certainly when I go about trying to select a team now or a squad of players, I certainly think that if you can play in more than one position, you certainly, like you said, make yourself less droppable, so to speak.
Yeah.
And you're much more of an asset to a manager or a coach if you can play in 2, 3, 4 different positions. So I think you've had a really good grounding in that. Good stuff. So Cheltenham, they offered you a scholar when you were 16. Then for 2 years, they sort of deemed you good enough and took you on for that.
Yeah, so I got a scholar. I think there was about 8 of us in my age group who got scholars. We were quite a good age group. Obviously fortunate enough to get a scholar, and then
who else was in that age group? Sorry.
So myself, Spencer Hamilton, he's now at Chippenham. Zach Kavitsa, Harry Williams, you got Harvey Rivers.
Yeah.
And then I think there's about three or four others as well. So yeah, it was a good age group to be in, to be honest, because there was a lot. And then also we had Courtney Doofus was same age group. Obviously he got bought by Everton before he could before Champ could offer him a scholar. A lad called Ben Markle as well, same age group. He got bought by Stoke before scholarships came in. So yeah, we had a good age group.
Yeah, strong, certainly. So how did the 2 years pan out? Were you starting a lot in the under-18 team in your first year, or how did things go?
Yeah. So in my first year, I started at mostly left back.
That's quite. Sorry to interrupt. That's quite. I don't think a lot of lads do that. I think that's probably quite uncommon for just going straight in your first year and be starting all the time. Often that isn't the case, is it?
No, I think a lot of clubs, especially with first and second year scholars, preference over the second years. I think one, they've had obviously more experience at that level. Two, it's obviously their opportunity to try and push for a professional contract. I think in my situation, we did have a strong age group. I think again the fact that I could play multiple positions probably did help me, because back was Kieran Thomas, who's a very good right back, and I wasn't gonna get ahead of him. So yeah, that's definitely when playing multiple positions helped me. And to be fair, at the time, the age group above us had a good selection of players, but they didn't have too many. I think they only had sort of 5 or 6.
Okay.
And as we had sort of a strong age group, I think they realised that and wanted to get as many of us in, to obviously try and keep develop us together really.
No, great. So did you win the league or anything in those couple of years, or were there any youth cup runs or anything?
So we had 2 good FA Cup runs. We got to the 3rd round both years. First year we played Tottenham.
Wow.
Second year we played Birmingham.
Home or away, these games?
Both at home.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, against Birmingham, I remember I was up against Mari Gray. He's obviously flying now. But yeah, we had good FA Youth Cup runs. The league, we always started well, but then sort of halfway through, a lot of players would get picked out for loans or what they call work experience when you're in scholar.
Right.
So you'd never really have a settled team throughout the whole sort of youth league period. But yeah, we had good FA Cup runs, and yeah, we both definitely had good teams in both the years that I was there.
Yeah, interesting. So you've something that always strikes me about you is you're what I would call a gym guy, aren't you? You're sort of really into your weight training and your physique and stuff like that, and credit to you for that. Has that always been the case? When did that sort of passion for that develop? From my perspective, you're probably, I don't say push too many weights, but you're sort of you do more than you need to, don't you? For it's probably an aesthetic thing as well for you. But when did that sort of develop? And obviously, it obviously transfers onto the football pitch, doesn't it? Because you're a strong defender and you don't get pushed off the ball and things like that, do you?
No, I think so. I've always been, and I think it's really started to develop when. So I got my scholar, and everyone else from my school stayed at sixth form at the same school. So I was literally the only one who left, sort of out of my whole friendship group, really. And then the main time that I would see them we'd all go to the same gym after, when I finished and when they finished school, I would meet them there.
Okay.
So that was literally every day there for a couple of hours. So I was doing gym work at football, and then gym work obviously outside of football as well as training. So I'd say that's where it started, and then obviously from there, you're right, it has turned into a more. I've just continued it, aesthetics as well. Obviously, it does help with your game. But yeah, I think definitely as you get older, the aesthetics does come into it more as well.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, because some lads aren't into it at all, are they? They won't lift a single weight in the gym and in terms of football players, and then some are really into it, and then some sort of do a moderate amount. So it takes all different shapes and sizes, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, obviously there's different types of training. You can do weight training, or some people, they go into the gym and do more S&C stuff, which will probably help their, whatever sport more. For me, it was always weight training, just because, I'd done sort of S&C work at football. So I just wouldn't want to repeat it. And the fact that all my friends were just doing weight training. So I just, got involved with that, really.
Yeah, no, great stuff. So just in terms of sort of Cheltenham, when that sort of came to an end then, and obviously they didn't offer you a pro contract, did they, after your 2-year scholar? Just talk to me about the fallout from that and what transpired.
To be honest, it was bittersweet. At the time, I remember sort of decision day. I was obviously devastated. Came home crying. Didn't know what to do the rest of my life. At sort of over the 2 years, there was definitely long periods which I loved it. Obviously, a full-time footballer, doesn't really get any better than that. But there was definitely times as well which I didn't enjoy it at all. I think especially sort of the second half of my second year, just in terms of just you sort of not doing the same thing every day, but you're there every day. You're feeling the pressure, of trying to get a pro. You don't know. You see other lads going to train in the first team. You're thinking, are they sort of, are they ahead of you at the time? And then you go and train in the first team. You're thinking, have I trained well? So there's definitely times where I really enjoyed it, really didn't enjoy it. And then I think obviously with the sort of decision, didn't get a pro. Sort of fortunate enough. I think that was in March, I would say. March, April time. It was everyone got a decision on the same day. I think there was 8 of us. No, I think there was about 9 of us, and I think 5 did get pros. A few surprised they got a pro. Others you're surprised they didn't actually get one. But yeah, I think after that, I was fortunate enough that we're still getting paid up until the end of the contract in June. So it gave me sort of a bit of thinking time, a bit of leeway.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's just probably had a sort of a month of just completely off, just switched off completely, not really thinking about my next steps. And then it was sort of, especially at that age, you just want to stay in football. And I think people don't realise how hard it actually is to stay as a full-time footballer in a professional game at sort of any level. My plans were definitely, go to. So I went to Hartbury, obviously full-time football, and my plans were sort of get back into full-time football within a year or two.
Did you? Was there? So when after you got released from your scholar, was there any thinking that you might go on trial somewhere else, or did you just did Hartbury get in contact with you and you just organically move straight into that, or?
So I'd say I had like a month or two just completely switching off. Didn't really think about football. And then I remember my mum sort of sat me down and said, "Look, you need to, sort of figure out what you're going to do at the next stage of your life, really." Then it was at that point where, so there was Tim Bell, who used to be an assistant and coach at Cheltenham with our youth team. He used to work at Hartbury as well. And he'd done some talks with us before about, how Hartbury's good facilities, offer full sort of football programs. So yeah, I just got in touch with him. He put me in touch with Mark Richards, obviously at the time, Gloucester assistant manager at the time, head of football at Hartbury. Spoke to him and he invited me down, really. So that's sort of how I fell into Hartbury. I didn't really think about exit trials at all, really. So a lot of people who get released go to the exit trials. I don't know why, it just didn't cross my mind. I don't know if it wasn't something I was interested in, or if it was just something that to us at Cheltenham, because I don't think any of the Cheltenham lads went. I don't know if it was something that wasn't offered at the time. I can't really remember, but yeah, it just didn't cross my mind in the exit trials, to be honest.
I think the thing of the exit trials is they're very, it's all on the day, isn't it? And it depends who's watching, and there's so much circumstance and luck that is involved with that. And you often, obviously it's an 11v11 game or whatever it is, and you often find that anyone that does get picked up from that has to be absolutely outstanding on that day and do all the right things and sort of probably be head and shoulders above anyone else there to even get a sniff of getting picked up.
Yeah, and I think with them as well, it's say even if you do well at the exit trials and the team sort of is interested in you, you've got to then spend another week going on trial to there, and then
Exactly.
it could be another decision if that doesn't go well. What do you do from there? You could miss out on other opportunities. Obviously, they're good in some circumstances, but I think on the whole, they're probably not as successful as they're probably made out to be, or people may think.
No, yeah, that's right. Okay, good stuff. So we spoke about Hartpury. That's where you and I met, obviously, and it's great, isn't it? I think when you get shown round there by sort of, it was Mark Richards and Tom Radcliffe at the time, it everything feels right, doesn't it? I don't know if you had that feeling. It was just that you can come here, you can get an education, you can play football every day, you can train. We've got a strong university team. There's a first team and a second team. You can still play non-league football at a good level and get paid. It just, there's so much opportunity there, isn't it? And I'm very grateful for my time there. And I just, if you'd like to enlarge upon that, your time at Hartpury.
Yeah, I mean, as probably most people who go there, I'll say, they definitely say it's the best years of their life. I think for me, when initially going, to be honest, as you said, you're shown around. Obviously, facilities are great. Obviously, the full-time football, and that was the main reason why I went. To be honest, in my first year there, I didn't think about the education at all. As long as I passed it, I wasn't really too bothered. I was just for the football. And then it's funny because then sort of my last 2 years there, obviously with the football and stuff, it was great times there, met great people, a lot of fun. But my mind sort of flipped, and it was more focused on the education rather than football. And like you said, you're still, you're sort of well off. If you take students as a whole, you're well off students. You can get good scholarships. Obviously, we were both fortunate enough to get like PFA, education payment, and you're still playing non-league as well, which it benefits you as well. So definitely best 3 years I've had, probably football wise. I think my first year at Hartpury was probably the best as a footballer I've played. I think I've probably maybe there's people coming up against, because obviously it was unis and colleges, so it was a bit different to academy football. But I was my sort of performances, I think, in my Hartpury first year was the best I've performed. I think just because of enjoyment. I had a full year at right back as well.
Yeah.
Then obviously with the full-time football, and obviously playing men's football still on the weekends, definitely helped me, and I enjoyed it so much. So obviously there's times when you're getting up at like 6 a.m. and when you play 90 minutes on a Tuesday, 90 minutes on a Wednesday, but definitely overall it was great experience.
Great experience. It's interesting you said how you started to focus. You felt that you were focusing more on your studies in the second and third year, but it might just be that actually you were focusing on both just as much, where you went from sort of not focusing on your studies at all, actually then you got more into it. Because I still think you're dedicating that much time still to football in terms of the training at Hartpury, the games at Hartpury, the training and games outside of Hartpury with your club team, but then obviously the education aspect came right up with it as well. And I think that's healthy. I think if you can really, I think you can succeed at both, and it's been proven at Hartpury, isn't it, time and time again?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, all of us boys, we've all done well from it. You see people, such as Scott Wilson, Ed Williams. You can definitely go on, and there is them success stories of getting a pro contract, but even people such as yourself, you've got a good career now. You can definitely go do education there, still be playing at a decent level of football, and get a good working career out of it. So it definitely can be a success story in football or just life, work in general.
Yeah, great. And just to round off on that, like I said, I think Mark Richards, he was great for us, wasn't he? And I'll always be grateful for his support for me and all the boys there. And Tom Radcliffe was very supportive in my time there as well. And shout out to them, really, because I think they do a cracking job there for all the lads that sort of release from pro clubs and are trying to make their way back in life and in football.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think people there just, they just get it. They understand, people not on the way down, because they're still the same footballer, but just the way down to, mentally, they're wanting to go back up. in football terms, they're wanting to go back, try and get back to a professional game. And just like you said, life in general, they're just wanting to sort of stabilise themselves.
Mm.
I think everything they offer there is fantastic. I mean, I had Matt Taylor. Obviously, he went on to be Exeter first team coach. Obviously, Mark Richards, Gloucester, Hereford, Chris Knowles. So you do get, obviously you get top education, but you do get really good football coaching as well. So it's not like we've been there and just trying to sort of sell it. You do actually get, you see from the coach's story as well. You do get that top coaching as well. So
yeah, absolutely. It's sort of a bit like a kid in a candy store, aren't you? The performance environment they have there for you to try and succeed is absolutely fantastic. And like I say, with the coaching, the whole package. I couldn't speak highly enough of it for sure. And obviously you feel the same way. Brilliant. So on to your non-league experiences then. How did you went and played for Bishop's Cleeve, didn't you? And I remember talking to you a few times about this in your first year when you first came there. Obviously we met and I was a bit older and all the rest of it, and they used to go up there, didn't you? I didn't think they paid an awful lot of money, did they, Bishop's Cleeve? And you used to talk about your escapades in non-league football and your introductions to that. So just talk us through that, because I remember you sort of funny stories you would retell and just how sort of grinding it can be at times.
Yeah, so I've obviously done a lot of non-league. So Bishop's Cleeve was when it was what they call like work experience. So that was when I was a scholar.
Right.
So that's when I was a scholar playing for Bishop's Cleeve. And to be honest, at the time, I hated it. There was a few of us who, they would sort of need 3 of us on the Friday. They'd put us in saying, what 3 of you want to play for, Bishop's Cleeve on the Saturday, and we'd all sort of shy away.
Not me.
Yeah, not because of the club or the people there or anything. I think it was just sort of at the time the shock of academy to like men's non-league football. You go to some terrible grounds, like it's a Tuesday night, you freeze and it's getting shouted at. But yeah, no, and obviously, we didn't get any extra money from Bishop's Cleeve. Again, not speaking bad of the club, but it was just at the time, just didn't get anything. So obviously, it was a good experience for us, and they needed help with players, and but yeah, that was definitely an experience, and then. Yeah, obviously from there, gone on to play for numerous clubs really. So yeah, no, it's definitely an experience which I'll remember.
Yeah, certainly. So you joined Cinderford then. So when did you join Cinderford in your first year at Hartpury? When did you do the pre-season with them, or when did that take place?
Yeah, so Cinderford. So the manager who offered me my scholar at Cheltenham was then the manager of Cinderford. So obviously I knew him from Cheltenham days. I didn't get a professional contract.
We're talking about Brophy now, yeah?
Yeah, John Brough, yeah. So didn't get a professional contract at Cheltenham. Went and done some pre-season with Gloucester because I know Tim Harris. Sort of spoke to him and he said, "Look, you're young, just go get games." Obviously, I knew Brough. He called me up and yeah, went and done pre-season with them. Obviously, first sort of proper, non-league experience. When I was at Cleeve, it was sort of, I can go. Obviously, I know it means a lot to the clubs, the results and stuff, but for me, I'm just going to go back the next day, train at Cheltenham. It didn't really make a difference. But yeah, at Cinderford, it meant a lot to people. Obviously, Brough is a character himself, so every game means a lot to him.
A character. And, that's very politically correctly put out.
Yeah, no. So obviously, every minute of the game means a lot to him, and players who actually working full time and they want to, they don't want to come up and mess around or make mistakes. They want to come to football after work and take it seriously, have fun,
sure,
but
yeah.
Want to make sure it's worth their time really. So yeah, he called me, went pre-season there. So yeah, did that alongside Hartpury for obviously the first year. Then I was at Cinderford for 2 years, and then in my third year of uni and third proper year of non-league, joined Poulton.
Yeah. So sorry, let's just keep with Cinderford for a moment then. So were you playing a lot there? And obviously I know it culminated in you guys winning the league, didn't it?
Yeah. So the first year, I think we finished just outside the playoffs. I probably say I started half the games. Again, left back or right back, it was pretty 50-50. probably came on. Then came on in half the games. So yeah, 50-50 first year. Second year, probably started near enough every game at left back. Obviously, that's the year we won the league. And yeah, obviously that's one of the, obviously winning the league, it helps, but it's definitely one of the best years I've had in football in terms of enjoyment.
And that's no mean feat, winning that Southern League South and West, is it? And the fact that you're playing almost every week at fullback. Just talk to me about some of the nuances of that team then, and the formation you played, and how that promotion season panned out.
Yeah, so especially the fact that I was sort of 19, 20. Obviously I'd only been in non-league for a year before that. So obviously it was good, great experience, especially to win the league. So I think non-league, the chance of you winning anything, even if you're playing a 20-year career, very slim. I mean, we had a pretty small squad. It was about 14, 15, I'd say.
Sure.
Like a proper squad, and but the squad we had turned up, training all there every week, all really got on. Obviously they were all characters that could handle the manager. In terms of he's got his ways, shouting and motivate him. Everyone could handle him, and yeah, it was he used a system that everyone could work in. So we played the diamond, so forward and back, obviously one sitter, two centre mids, one in the cam or the 10, and then two up front. Played that pretty much all season. I can't really remember where we sort of deviated from that. Played that all season, and I remember we obviously won the league, and our record was really good. So I think obviously we came first, and I think the teams who came second, third, fourth, fifth, even might have been sixth as well. We beat them all away. Didn't concede a goal to either of them away.
That's an unbelievable. I mean, Brophy played my old man, and he's like you said, he's a character, and he's a decent enough guy, isn't he? And he obviously had a good career and has had a good background in football. And to win that league with the record that you had was quite an achievement, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think
Sorry, what was the team, Al? Talk us through the team then. What was the back four?
So we had Alex Harris in goal, he's with me now at Siren. Again, experienced keeper. Good of his feet, especially for that level. Right back was Kieran Thomas, who again, said I played for him at Cheltenham. He was way too good for that league. I mean, after that year, he got signed for Gloucester. He was 2 leagues above, so that says a lot. At centre back, we had Nick Rhodes and Josh Nelms. They're just two solid defenders. Josh Nelms, quick, can cover. Nick Rhodes wins everything. Literally everything. Yeah. Same for Josh Nelms, really. Obviously, me at left back.
What were you? What were your strengths?
To be fair, back in those days when I could actually get up and down the wing, so sort of a flying modern day fullback back then. Sitting, we had Lorcan Sheehan. Again, sort of tall, big, can wins everything in the air again. Can good of his feet.
Composure.
Composure. Then the two were Joe Turley, who again really good ball player. Could probably play higher. Again, he's with me at Siren now. He was at Cheltenham with me as well the year above. Left of the diamond was a lad called Joe O'Donoghue. Good of his feet and could just run for 90 minutes. He could just run. And then in the sort of 10, I believe it was sort of a mixture of friends. So in the 10, I believe it was a lad called George Lloyd. So it was George Lloyd. Obviously, he's a Bristol lad. Quick, good of his feet, could get him behind. Then up front we had Ethan Moore, who obviously shame of him and injuries. He could have probably been a pro if he did really want to and had the right attitude and stuff. But yeah, he was up front. Again for that level at the time, he was way too good. He got
scored a lot of goals, didn't he?
Yeah, a lot of goals. He got signed by Gloucester as well. And then up front with him was Lee Smith. Just experience, been around the block, could get goals. Sort of new non-league inside out really. There's probably a few players who I forgot to mention as well, but that's sort of the lineup that I can, in my head. We had Kyle Knott as well, experience, could play left back or right back. Garen Preen, he was really good player. I think he moved to a team in Wales after, or might have been at the start of that season, but he was a really good player. Probably a few more who I forgot to mention, but yeah, no, it's a really good team and really good bunch of lads, really. And then we had a few lads in on loan as well. So obviously, when players got injured, we had Joe Parker. He came and played games, scored goals.
Pace,
Bobby Dale came in. I was a scholar with him at Cheltenham, sort of a bigger striker. He came in, scored goals. Sam Hicks, who's still playing non-league. We had a good team. We had a good team and a good bunch of lads as well.
So obviously you wouldn't get outnumbered, would you, in that formation with the narrow midfield? And interestingly, obviously, you probably heard us talking to Des about this as well. And I know that when you got promoted with Yate, you played a similar sort of system, didn't you? Which I find really interesting in non-league football because once the pitches sort of mess up in sort of November time, if you can congest that midfield, you make yourself hard to beat, don't you? But any team that I've coached or managed, if I've ever tried to play that sort of way, we tend to have right old ding dong about who presses the fullbacks. Can you? Yeah. What would happen in that situation in that team? If the opposition team's fullback gets the ball and starts marauding forward with the ball, whose duty would it be to? Is it just the nearest man or?
I'd say the nearest man, but if we're set up, then it would be the two strikers would split. Two strikers would split and go with them to a certain point, probably up until sort of midway to halfway line in their half, and then the centre mid would go out. The closest centre mid would go out. The 10 would drop in, and then it would make obviously basically midfield four. So I mean, pretty much I'd say off the ball we were probably a 4-4-2 to be honest.
Yeah,
10 would drop in. Centre mids would just shuffle across, and then obviously me with the fullback, I'd have the winger. But if the fullback went on, I would take the fullback, and then the centre middle, whoever's the closest man, would just watch the winger as he dropped in. Really. So yeah, I'd say strikers until a certain point, and then centre mids until a certain point, and then obviously the fullbacks until a certain point. So as long as you're communicating it well, and I think it's on the centre mids, in the two centre mids either side, really. As long as as long as the one knows they have to press and the other one knows they have to tuck in, then I think you can, you can get away with it, really.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thanks for that. It was a nice description there. So obviously won the league at Cinderford, and like you said, obviously I hope you win another league in football, but the chances of that happening obviously are so few and far between. And the fact that you did it in your sort of first real full year of starting every game at that level when you're only 19 it really is an incredible achievement, and you'll always remember that, won't you? And probably hold it quite close to your heart, sort of thing. Moving on then, so then you would go to Polton then. So Cinderford obviously got promoted, and what happened there?
Yeah, so Cinderford got promoted, and then it's a classic sort of non-league thing. The club refused promotion, just in terms of financial issues, things like that. So I think pretty much every player left. It's just it's a shame, really, but obviously a couple of players got signed for higher teams, which fair enough. They're going to go more money, high, better standard. And then obviously manager moved on, and then sort of all the players moved on, really. So obviously just winning the league, Polton just got relegated from the league above. And I played with a couple of the lads at uni who played for them. Manager got in touch. To be honest, offered me really good money. The fact that I'd again play week in, week out, and there were chance, it was a good squad who had just been relegated, so there's obviously a good chance they could go back up. That's the reason why I went to Polton. Obviously it was quite far travel. I think it's about hour and a half.
It's just a long old jaunt down there from Gloucester, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, there was five of us doing it, and we were all at uni. So, we were lucky in the sense of we didn't have to get up for work next day, or there was always five of us going. So we would, just share car school. We paid petrol for it as well. And, we could have plenty of time to leave. We weren't rushing from work or anything. So it worked out quite well. That was a new manager for me as well. So I worked with Bruffy at Cheltenham, worked with non-league. So yeah, it was a good experience to obviously you'll know Tony Ricketts.
Yeah.
Great guy, really good manager. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was great to work under him, to be honest. And yeah, year I really enjoyed.
Yeah. Tony was my youth team manager in my first year at Filton College and Bristol Rovers. Yeah, and like I said, obviously highly qualified coach, A licensed coach, and he's thorough with his methods, isn't he? And he demands of people. I know that. So how did that year finish out? Whereabouts did you?
I think we finished about mid-table. It's
Yeah.
one of them years. You started strong, sort of dipped to the middle. Sort of win loss in the middle. Then sort of last further the season. It's sort of classic non-league. Didn't really have anything to play for. Couldn't really make playoffs. Weren't going to get relegated. So yeah, last third was sort of, just turning. Especially it was my last year uni as well. So in that last sort of third, didn't really go to too much training. Me or the uni lads. Obviously focusing on our dissertation and stuff, which takes up a lot of time. So yeah, focusing on that. So we didn't really do a lot of training. Then just playing the games really, which obviously is a game you want to win, but didn't really mean too much the last sort of 10 or so games. So yeah, that was that was Polton, and then obviously from there, if we're finishing uni, I was never going to travel there by myself, especially when getting my first full-time job. I wasn't going to sort of travel there, so I went to Northleigh, which is in Oxford. Again, they've always had a really good reputation in the non-league. Always finished well.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that nice bit of geography there, Al. It's in Oxford. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, so Northleigh. Again, John Brough was there. He was the manager. Called me up and said,
nice pitch there, isn't it?
Yes, I always said I was never going to play for him because of the pitch. And then Broughy gave me a call again. Played week in, week out, offered me good money. So yeah, I ended up playing on the slanty pitch for another year.
I think I recall playing against you a couple of times because I must have been at Shortwood then. But so yeah, you had a year there.
Yeah, and that year probably wasn't my most enjoyable year. There was financial issues at the club. They sort of pulled, as non-league clubs do again, pulled the budget halfway through. A lot of people left. And that's my first year of sort of working full time. So it made me realise there's a lot of commitment. There's a lot of commitment at that level, playing full time football and full time work.
Sure.
So at the end of that year, I went travelling for a couple of months. Then, to be fair, when I came back, it was a situation of, the manager wasn't there anymore. John Brough, he didn't have a new club to ring me up from. I didn't have too many managers ringing me up, and at that point, to be honest, I wasn't too bothered whether I was going to continue playing or not. Really, it was only because Polly or Paul Britton gave me a call, wanted me at Yate. That was, to be honest, that was my only option at the time. So yeah, I went there, and that's definitely going to Yate. I didn't know any players there before I went. Didn't know the manager, but it was by far the most fun, best year I've had in football. Definitely the best decision I made to go there.
But you were only there a year?
No, so I was at Yate I was at Polton for 1 year, Northleigh for 1 year, and then I was at Yate all in all for 3 years. Obviously, two of them got COVID affected. But yeah, 3 years. 3 years at Yate. I
felt that you were there for a decent length of time, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously the first year we got promoted in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Which especially to win the same league and then a few years later to go up in playoffs, great experience. Playoffs is definitely better than winning the league, definitely. Second year was in the league above, my first year in the league above, which was a good experience. I think the league only got called off about 10 games to go, which was a shame. But we were in a good position to stay up, so I think we definitely would have. And then the third year there, new manager came in. I was sort of in and out of the team. Only about 8 league games were played, and it obviously got called off. So
yeah. So let's just focus on that promotion campaign with Yate then. Just to round off. So you were ever present. You mainly played left back again, didn't you? Is that right?
Yeah. So to be honest, it was probably 50-50. So I was a lot left back. Then a lot.
Because Humpo would have come in, would he?
When I first started, Mason Evans was right back. I was left back. And then I think, Mason got injured. So then I went back to right back, brought Nick Humphries in, Pumpo, he played left back. And then that was pretty it until sort of towards the end of the season, really. And then also I played the odd game centre back as well, which I haven't got a problem with. I can do as well. So, But it was mainly right and left back that season.
Yeah. So if you had to compare, that team with the Cinderford team, which team would win?
I think the Cinderford team would win, just in terms of Ethan in that league. Just he can guarantee you 30 goals when he was at that level. And I think the defensive record we had was better at Cinderford as well. I think I definitely enjoyed the 8 year more. I don't know if it was because I was sort of older. It was a year where I wasn't really too bothered about football, and it just turned out to be so great. The group of lads or what, but I think the Cinderford team would win, but I definitely enjoyed the 8.
Interesting. Would you say you had a better team spirit in the 8 team then? Is that the best team spirit you've had at a club? Yeah,
which in non-league can take you so far. I think we had a good team. I don't think we had the best team in the league. Same year. I think Salisbury Salisbury might have been in the league at that year. There were some good teams in the league. I wouldn't say we had the best team, but definitely the sort of spirit we had, the experience as well. I think there was a lot of older heads who, like to, obviously have a few pints after the game. They're really on it with like fines and stuff. So it's like everyone was there training again week in, week out. And I think definitely in non-league, if you can have, I'm not saying we were average at 8, but you can have an average team. And as long as you've got a good team spirit, everyone wanting to be there, fighting for each other, you can easily do way and above what you should in non-league, 100%.
Yeah, I agree with you, definitely, mate. It's interesting you say that, and also you need the lads to buy into obviously what the manager and coach wants, and you need your sort of key 3-4 players to really take on a leadership role and drag people through, don't you, at them key moments?
Yeah, definitely. I think with Polly, it was a case of, we had a system. He knew how to sort of keep everyone happy, which, in non-leagues, massive. Most, if people aren't playing, they'd just leave. But I think, obviously helped we were winning, but he knew how to keep everyone happy. Whether it was, we trained, we didn't train, who was playing, everyone getting enough minutes. He definitely knew that. He had a good bond with everyone as well. And, like you said, again, we played the diamond. So it was a case of everyone knowing how to play that. And in both teams, really, I'd say we had a striker up front and a winger up front with the striker. So, as long as people are happy to play out of position as well, sometimes. But it's definitely that people staying happy, being happy, and just wanting to actually be there, really.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's great. So moving on from that, then you're obviously at Cirencester now, aren't you? Wound up there, and obviously there's a lot less travelling for you, probably. Is that right?
Yeah, probably half the time it takes me to get to Yate. To be honest, in this league, well, I'm obviously back in the South and West League now. That from the Southern League's a lot less travelling as well in terms of away games. Sure. But it's a lot more local. Got a good team, really good team. I think last year they were 4 points ahead when the league got called off. So they got a good team. We're still undefeated this year. Unfortunately, I got done my hamstring 3 games in, which after 18 months of not playing, so COVID's annoying. But just back in the squad now, and hopefully can get back in the team. But when they're doing well, keep him goals out. You just got to accept that it might take some time to get back in, but it sort of is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Be patient, wait for your chance, and obviously you're confident in your ability, and I got no doubt you'll be strong and get back in that team, no problem. How did you find playing on the Astro?
I don't like it, to be honest. I'm not a fan of Astro. It is the one at Siren is very good. If for how Astros go, it is probably one of the best you can get. I'm not a fan.
Is it 4G, 5G? What do they call it now?
It's called this one's called Tiger Turf. I don't know what the difference is.
Right.
Yeah, I don't
Because
know
we
what
used to call it the
is.
one. We used to call the Hartbury one the 1G, didn't we?
Yeah,
Before they got
Hartbury
it
was
redone.
1G. That's been done now. That's really nice now.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the 1G at Hartbury. But yeah, it is nice for an Astro. But yeah, I don't like people who say it's the same. It's not. It's not. I get why clubs do it. It's good revenue, stops games being called off.
But we'll all have plastic knees and hips in about 30 years.
I guess I don't like them at all.
No, good stuff. So just to round off, then, really appreciate your time today, mate. What are you doing actually for work at the moment?
So now I work in recruitment.
Okay.
Started about 6 months. Yeah, about 6-7 months ago. And for me, this is probably the job where it's my actual sort of career. Wanting to go forward.
Yeah, great.
Before I was obviously went to uni. Then did like some coaching work after uni, went traveling, came back and was just doing, a job that I enjoyed the people there, but didn't really, wasn't for me. It was just a job. So yeah, this is what I sort of say my sort of career is now. So yeah, so I'm doing it in a minute.
Yeah, great. What are your obviously you're an accomplished defender like yourself. Obviously when I first met you, you were obviously quite young, but now I feel like you're an experienced player, certainly at Southern League level, and a defender at that. What would your top tips be for any sort of young player that wants to try and forge and have a good career in non-league football that wants to play in the position that you've played as a fullback?
I'd say just stick at it. There's going to be times where you're hating it. There's going to be times where it's not going so well. Christmas you're going to be traveling a couple hours away. It's just going to be muddy, like rain. And you think, what am I doing? But yeah, no, you just got to stick at it. I'd say definitely you need to. I think especially when you're like 18 or so, you need to be at a club where you will play. Because if you play, you're showing what you can do. You're playing well. You just get your name out there. And even if it's a case of, what happened to myself at Sindford, where for some reason everyone has to leave the club. If your name's out there in non-league, it can go around very quick. So I think if you get your name out there, actually playing, you might have to drop down a level that you want to be playing at. It might be less money. If you are money motivated, that's fine. You can sit around at clubs and earn good money. But then at the same time, it'd probably be only for 1-2 years, and you'll be out of it. So I'd say making sure you're playing is the main thing. Because again, if you are money motivated and you're playing, you're only going to go up and up if you're doing well, or even just maintain at that level. So you're definitely playing, and again, obviously playing helps on the money side, but playing helps on, if you're going to be putting all that time and effort into it, especially working full time, you want to be going there for a reason. Not just to be going there just to sit on the bench really. So yeah, I'd say just play as much as you can, and yeah, just try and get your name out there as much as possible. Really, make connections with other players on your team. If they've moved to other clubs, stay in touch. Keep good relationships with previous managers that you've had. I think most of all, you've got to enjoy it, because I think especially it's a lot different to academy football.
Yeah,
and especially working full time and then go into training, or you can get to work at so a lot of people start work like 5 a.m. or whatever. For me, it's getting to work at 8. You might not get back till even if it's a normal training night, you're not getting home till 10. So you definitely got to make it worthwhile and enjoy it.
Yeah, it can be a long old day, can't it?
Yeah.
Good. Good stuff, mate. Sliding tackle or stay on your feet?
Stay on your feet most of the time. I think especially you just want to make it easy for yourself. So most of the time, I don't even really try and tackle people. It would be a case of staying on my feet and just try making a pass backwards. Once you've done that, it's your job done, really. If you're trying to tackle them, most of the time it's a case of they're either trying to get past you, which they shouldn't be in that position anyway, or again, if you're tackling someone, it's a risk of a free kick. Or obviously, there's times to tackle, there's times to slide tackle, but yeah, for me, I'd say to stay on your feet and just try and make them go backwards, really.
Good, great advice. Good stuff. Well, listen, thanks very much for your time today, Al. It's it's been really good having you on and getting some insights into your experiences, and it's been really good talking to you and hearing about some of the things that you've been through, and that you're in a good place now and you're enjoying your career and your football. It's really good to see. So you've been listening to Chalk Talk. Thank you for listening. Please hit that subscribe button if you've liked what you've heard today. Al, can you try and sell it for us a bit as well?
Just make sure you listen to Talk Sport, listen to this episode. It's a man who's done everything in 7 leagues, well, South and West that you can imagine. Got promoted playoffs, won the league, Manager's Player of the Season, Players Player of the Season. It's a great podcast. They're doing good things here. So to make sure you listen, subscribe, have your notifications switched on, and stay tuned for the next one.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Al. Take care, and I'll see you soon.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.